What's up, Nerfers? Welcome back to the N.A.P. I could use a nap.
Seth needs a nap.
Sounds awesome.
That's for certain.
My schedule has been so weird. I've been working days and overnights, and it's been very strange. Josh, how are you?
I am clean shaven per the annual Mustaches for Kids thing, so you'll see me be building this upper lip hair over the month.
Oh, I'll just not shave for this month. How's that?
I'm well. I'm just got off of work. Rushed home so I could chat with my best bud, Seth, and I needed some sweets. And I was watching Falcon and the Winter Soldier with my mom the other day because she hasn't seen it yet. And we get to the whole thing, the whole Baba Black Sheep thing with a scene with Zemo and Turkish Delights, and I was like, oh. And then I remembered I have a thing of Turkish Delights. I don't know if you can see these. I got these like a long time ago I was planning on doing a movie reaction commentary thing to Chronicles of Narnia on its 15th year anniversary, which happened like in November. Totally forgot about it.
When I hear Turkish Delights is
right?
Chronicles of Narnia.
Right. So I totally forgot about that. And I went back. I'm like, I wonder if I still have it. And I did. And I've been feasting on these for the last day and a half. Turkish Delights are so damn good. Oh my gosh. They're messy.
They must be really good because a little twat waffle sold his family out for them. So
That's right. So you don't do that for common chocolates. That's for certain.
Sold James McAvoy out for it, I guess. But
yeah,
that's a transgression if there ever was one. Yeah, we've had a lot going on over the last couple weeks. So, I mean, we kind of glossed over Star Wars Day, I guess, as it really comes down to it. We talked about it a little bit.
Talked a little bit about it. We didn't talk about Bad Batch because neither of us had seen it just yet.
No, we were broadcasting like on Star Wars Day, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it had just come out. We hadn't gotten the chance, but we're both caught up, so we'll talk a little bit about that at the end of this episode. We'll kind of finale with the Bad Batch. But essentially, like, there were so many news stories that have come out, and none of them like really bearing long enough to like cover like an entire section of an episode. So we're just gonna lightning round for a bit. This might be kind of a quicker episode than normal, but we're just gonna kind of burn through it. And then Josh has a story. Like, are we leading off with the story that you had for me that I wasn't paying attention to, like, whatsoever?
Oh no, I don't remember what the order of the slides are. We'll just go by order of the slides. I did want to update you on that story we talked about last week, the Oscar short, and sure. whether or not now this ripped off that filmmaker. So the only person
it absolutely did.
So the director of the short, of the Oscar short, the Oscar now winning short, came out and released a statement that was like, he was pissed. The dude was pissed. Is that Jared? What's up, Jared? Jared and I are gonna go see Spiral tomorrow night. We got our tickets. Woo! I can't wait.
Nice.
I can't wait. I know you're not a horror guy, Seth, but I'll let you know how it is.
I am a fan of getting to go back to movie theaters safely. That's a big thing.
Yeah. Well, anyway, real quick on this story. The guy came out, said it's bullshit. They didn't steal this. This was my idea. Now this came in at the last second to put it out. But I had already made my movie. Kind of glossed over the same thing we were seeing on Twitter. You don't have the right to, or you don't have the copyright to this element of a Groundhog Day story. So he is 100% denying it. He kind of attacked the other director a bit. And hey, I understand being like you worked on something and then somebody calls it into question and you get a little defensive. I would have rather him come out and said, I promise everybody I didn't rip this other person off. I feel bad because, they clearly worked hard on their project, but I can assure everybody that this was not a ripoff of theirs. There's a nicer way he could have done it, but he kind of went on the offensive against her. And unless she released like another video that I haven't seen, she never went on the offensive against him. She didn't even mention him. She just mentioned now this. and he comes out guns blazing. So it's dirty right now, and I'm sure it's not the end of it, but that's the latest update.
What a dick bag.
I mean, I
I'm
get
not
it. You
surprised
worked
at
hard
all.
on your project, but you don't have to be a dick to the other person, you know?
I was gonna say, yeah. Nobody said that plagiarizers were completely lazy. I'm sure that you put some effort into the idea that you totally ripped off and stole. But he totally ripped that story off and stole it. So yeah, I feel bad for
Seth's
him.
mind is made. Let's get into some lightning round stuff. So what do I have here? I can't see my own screen. I need to switch. It's been a minute. Venom trailer came out. I know Seth hasn't seen it. Seth has been really busy, so we won't get too deep into it. But
I've been holding off. Like I've been actively making sure that I held off because like if the opportunity came up for, I mean, obviously we were originally going to do our show yesterday, but things were crazy. And I was gonna be like, all right, you know what? I'll just hold off. We'll react to it live. Like we'll do a live trailer reaction. But yeah, I mean, things were insane.
Yeah.
Things were
So,
insane.
are you going to record your own trailer reaction later, or what do you think? Because I know you're not really in the mood for it.
I don't know. I mean, I could watch it. I could record it later. Screw it. We'll do that.
Okay.
I'll record that later.
I'd like to see your thoughts on it. I'm not in the camp of screw this, or anything like that. But I will say my initial thoughts are they're leaning heavy on the comedy, which is what the first one did, and I'm a fan of Carnage, man. I want them to do Carnage right. Carnage it's in the name, Carnage, and if there's not Carnage in this film, and it's just comedy hour with a red version of Venom, I'm gonna be a little sad. But from what we saw, at least they're going for the aesthetic. So we'll see where they go with this. This reminds me of Stranger Things right here. But
this is the exact frame that got spoiled for me.
I figured as much.
Just by social media in general.
Well, it's the only frame
on that screen. So
it's the only frame, which I get it. It's a teaser trailer. It's pretty far out. But
I wasn't surprised either.
I will say that some people were saying, "Man, this is the movie that's going to bring me back into theaters." And I was like, this movie is pretty far out because this movie is supposed to come out. Let's see, Venom 2 release date. This movie ain't coming out till September 17th if it doesn't get pushed back. And I was like, there are tons of movies. And I went and looked at it, and I'm not going to lie, I got kind of goosebumps. But at the number of movies coming out, we got Spiral coming out this week, A Quiet Place 2, which we're going to talk about, Fast and Furious 9, Black Widow, The Forever Purge, Green Knight, which we're going to talk about, Suicide Squad, Shang-Chi, and a bunch of other movies are all coming out in the next 4 months. I mean, I know that's kind of a normal year, but after 2020, it feels like we're going gangbusters. I'm just so happy that all these movies are coming out, and most of the ones I listed, I think Black Widow is the only one currently that has a day and date digital release. So those are all coming out to theaters first, which I'm super stoked for. So the theaters are coming back, and I love it.
I mean, we're stacked for this year, and I mean that's probably a result of COVID actually holding everything back for so long.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a lot of holdouts. I know that Christopher Nolan was originally a holdout for a theatrical release for Tenet, which he did kind of get. He wanted it to be the first film back in theaters, but I really don't think that there was a way to do that. Like you got to think more globally than that,
right? And now people are calling these ones coming up as the first real films back.
Well, this is kind of like instead of thinking them as like the first films, it's like this is the first season back to the movie theater.
This is the first season.
Vaccinations have been up to like a good level. I know that they're not exactly where people were wanting them. There's going to be some disagreements there. I got vaccinated. I wanted to feel safer going on about. I had COVID at the beginning of 2020. It fucking sucks. Don't want to get it again. And it's probably not going to go away. This might be kind of part of like the seasonal flu year that we have to deal with. And yeah, I wasn't the only one who was worried about that. And now, not as many people are worried about it. Starting to get a little bit more lax. Things are opening back up. So this is like the season. This is the first season back to movie theaters, and
I hope I hope it really brings the theaters back, because, like, Jared and I were talking about getting tickets for Spiral, and
me too. I've got money in AMC right now. So
for a while now, for the last couple of years they've been doing Thursday night releases for new Friday movies, right? So I was like, all right, let's go on Thursday. The AMC down the street from me, they're a weekend theater now. I didn't even know this, but they've turned into a weekend only theater. So they're only open Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays now. I was almost kind of hard pressed to find one that had a Thursday night showing in the area where we live. So, Seth going to that movie.
Yeah, that AMC stock, man. Like, now's the time.
Yeah,
the time has passed.
Well, so The Green Knight was one that I listed. This was something that was supposed to come out last year, and then, of course, COVID got in the way. I don't know if you've heard anything about this, but they just released the first full trailer for this today. They released a teaser for it last summer, and I was like, what the hell is this?
It looks like the old King Arthur story thing. It's like a side story from King Arthur shit, but it also looks like the Emperor, like a weird version of the Emperor's New Groove.
Well, it's not.
Just based off of this frame that you've got here.
I get it. It's a very
is it the Green Knight based off of like the old King Arthur like sideshow story?
I do. It could be. I don't know because I don't know that story. I know it involves giants. It involves talking tree people. It involves a talking fox. The trailer today had some heavy fantasy elements in it, and it's an A24 film. And the trailer today just looked amazing. So I cannot wait for this film. Not to mention, I'm a huge fan of Dev Patel. Shit.
The Green Knight is a character from the 14th century Arthurian poem Sir Gawain and the Green Knight, and the related medieval work of the Green Knight, Greene. His true name is revealed to be Bertilac de Hot Desert.
Mm-hmm.
And alternate spelling in some translations is Bersilac or Bernlac. That's not even close. The Green Knight names him Breadbettle. The Green Knight later features as one of Arthur's greatest champions in the fragmentary ballad King Arthur and King Cornwall.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to say, like, I remember something about this and something about a Green Knight in literature, and the only reason that I remember it is because I thought of him as, like, the Green Power Ranger for, like, the Arthur stories, but it wasn't even close.
Well, the description for this movie is the headstrong nephew of King Arthur embarks on a daring quest to confront the infamous Green Knight. So we will see. I knew Dave Patel is going to be in this. I did not, and I knew Alicia Vikander is going to be in this because I love her. But Aaron Kellerman is in this. And if you haven't learned who that is yet, which if you had just said that name, I wouldn't have known. But it's hold up. Let me bring out the picture for you, and you'll see. It's oh my gosh! Just drag it over to that screen. It's this chick.
Oh, hey,
little terrorist chick from Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Terrorist chick, Carly Morgenthau.
So, yeah, Carly Morgenthau. So she's in this too. So good for her. She's getting some work, man. I like it.
Kidding. So there's an interesting thing here on Wikipedia. The medievalist C.S. Lewis said that the character was as vivid and concrete as any image in literature. J.R.R. Tolkien called him the most difficult character to interpret in the introduction to his edition of Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. His major role in Arthurian literature includes being a judge and tester of knights, and as such, the other characters consider him as friendly but terrifying and somewhat mysterious.
Okay. Those are some big names dropping some challenges to these writers.
Yeah, this guy's an OG. So,
well, I can't wait. The trailer looked great. The trailer didn't talk. It didn't give away everything, but it's definitely a trailer. The thing that they released last year was a teaser, but it was a badass teaser. So I've been waiting for this film. I hope it's one of the good A24 films. I know I could get some flack for that, but they have a track record of being like, "Ooh, this one's really good," and "Ooh, this one's interesting." Anyway, what else do we got to talk about? Did you ever see this? I know we watched this. Did we watch a trailer for this together?
Dude, I haven't seen anything. I struggled to watch the first 2 episodes of Bad Batch with my schedule lately.
Well, I guess I've just been
I
in
haven't seen shit.
I've been in a late night cuddle with the baby Frenchie and watch new movies mode. So I watched this because me and you watched that trailer for it. We did a trailer reaction for it like a month ago.
It was good. Like the trailer
was a good trailer.
The trailer was good.
It's a damn good trailer, and I'm pretty sure one of us mentioned that we were surprised that this was going straight to streaming and not a theatrical release, because it looked like it could have been a theatrical release movie. Having seen the movie, I understand why it went to streaming.
Okay.
The best parts of the movie are in that trailer, and they're just as short in that trailer. And Michael B. Jordan does Michael B. Jordan, and he does it well. But the rest of the movie, no, it's terrible. It's not. I'm not saying it was a shit movie. I'm just saying it was lackluster. It was a prequel
movie.
It's a prequel for Rainbow Six, and it was just not it just felt empty. It was super fast. Like I said, all the cool stuff was in the trailer, and then it was over, and I was like, okay. So odd decisions there.
Straight to streaming is going to be a weird term.
Yeah,
like,
right.
Because you got good stuff that's intended only for streaming.
That was made for streaming. I don't think this one was made for streaming, but it ended up streaming.
That's a shame.
Yeah. Anyway, if you're bored, you want something to watch, you're not going to be disappointed by Michael B. Jordan's performance. I'm telling you, there's worse films out there, but I had such high hopes after that trailer, and I was kind of let down that it was what it was. But
that's a shame.
Yeah. Moving on, I did watch Promising Young Woman, which cleaned up at the Oscars this year. Carey Mulligan was making the rounds for award shows. She was in SNL earlier this year. I finally got to see this. Have you seen any of the trailers for this film? Do you know anything about what this is?
I'm gonna refer to my answer about the last piece of media that we were talking about.
I just didn't know if you'd at least seen a trailer.
I haven't seen shit, man.
This film came out last year.
Let's go ahead and assume that I have been under
that you have not
for the last 3 months.
Okay, all right,
because that's what it's felt like.
I'll assume that. This I just had to throw this in there because I know you hadn't seen it yet. But have you ever seen that movie Hard Candy with Elliot Page? I think it was like 2005. It was
I'm gonna say no. I'm not. It's not ringing any bells.
It's really dark thriller. Elliot Page was in it. Patrick Wilson was the other guy in it. Patrick Wilson from Watchmen and other things. It was this really dark thriller about Paige playing this young girl named Haley, who is clearly young, clearly, underage, and she meets this photographer guy at a coffee shop who's clearly double her age at least. Goes back to his place. He starts serving her drinks and everything. Things start to get crazy. And then there's a switch in the movie when you find out that she's not his victim. He is her victim. And it gets real dark. And she's there to avenge someone that was a victim of his previously. Really damn good movie. Fucked up movie, but relevant movie. This is like the evolved version of that. This is a film about Carey Mulligan. She was in med school with a friend of hers. Something really bad happened to her friend. Fucked up her friend's life. In turn, fucked up her life. And she has spent the rest of her life since trying to make something different in the world because of that. And
Is this based on a true story?
It's not based on a true story.
Okay,
and unlike Hard Candy, it's not a violent movie. She's not going around killing people, which I kind of wish she was at some points because these dudes are super skeevy. But
I know some creepy photographers, so I can understand it.
Well, so in Promising Young Woman, she finds creepy dudes at bars that are willing to kind of prey on the alcohol-induced women that are at the bars and take things too far, while seeming to be the nice guys. But they take advantage, and she's there to flip the script on them. And it's really good. The ending is really shocking, and most people fall in one of two camps. Either they love the ending because it was not something they expected, or they flat out hated the ending because it was not what they expected. I would have never seen the ending coming. And when it happened, I was like, oh shit, that's where they chose to go with this. Hell of a good movie, man. Hell of a good movie. Not a happy film at all.
Not a happy film.
It's not. And the co-star is Bo Burnham, the comedian. Right. And he's great in it. That dude can act. He's great in it. And you're like, it's got a prominent young comedian in this. It should be a fun film. It's not a fun film. But it's really good.
I mean, Kevin James was just in a fucked up Home Alone movie, and
that's true.
It was another comedian.
What was that one called? Was that
I can't remember. I thought
Molly?
It was named after the chick that was like lead in it.
Something. She fucked that dude up. Yeah.
Something. I don't know.
Something with an M. What was that? Kevin James Nazi movie. That's the best way to describe it. Becky.
Jamie, pull that up.
Becky.
We were off by so much.
Off. I was thinking of Mandy, which was that Nicolas Cage film. Totally different film.
I was gonna say Maddie. It was like, nope, that's Josh's wife. He would have remembered that shit.
Yep. Anyway, so if you want a dumb action movie, watch the Michael B. Jordan film. If you want a super dark, fucked up film, watch Promising Young Woman. I would recommend this one. This one's really good. I'm glad it got some awards over the past season. What else on Lightning Round? Oh, yeah. So I watched Jupiter's Legacy. And I'm sure, like the other couple of things, you have no idea what this is. But this is a 8-episode series that just dropped this past weekend on Netflix. And it's based off a very popular comic series by Mark Millar. Or Mark Millar, however you pronounce his damn name.
Josh Duhamel?
Yeah, that is Josh Duhamel. Same guy that wrote Kick-Ass.
Do I know his name?
He was in Transformers movies. He's been around. He's a good actor. I like him. Yeah, he's probably the best actor in this group.
I can't remember what I've seen him in. I don't understand why I knew his name and why I was able to recognize him, because this doesn't look like him.
Because his name's Josh. If you're going to remember anybody's name, you're going to remember a Josh name.
Love you, buddy. You're welcome.
So this is based on a Mark Millar or Mark Millar comic. And I wanted to like it. This is written by the same guy that did Wanted, that did The Kingsman, that did Kick-Ass. It was very well received comic. However, must
be the Transformers movie that I'm recognizing.
That was a big film for him. Yeah,
that's got to be it. I don't know what else it would be at this point.
I don't know why we're getting all the superhero movies now, but
it's a hot ticket item right now. Now would be the time, man. The Infinity Saga for Marvel's done. They're in a weird transitional period where they're trying to like pick up. The Boys was just doing really good.
But The Boys is here.
Snyder talk and all that shit.
Invincible was just here. Maybe don't release this right after Invincible. Like, give it some space, because people have been saying for the last 12 years they're going to get superhero fatigue. If you have 3 superhero series with questionable morals right after another, you're definitely going to get fatigue. And I think it hit people with this one, because this one was rough to get through, sadly. And it has nothing to do with their lame ass costumes, because trust me, it doesn't look that good in person. It is. God, I was so disappointed.
It looks like Invincible mixed with Mad Men.
Well, so I'll give you the brief. I'll give you the elevator pitch. Josh Jamal and his friends over here and his wife are from the 1920s, and the stock market goes under. His father runs a steel mill, commits suicide. His life is turned upside down. Somehow, him and his friends find an island. It's almost like Skull Island, where they get superpowers. And they've been superheroes, known superheroes since the 20s. Okay. So now it's modern times. His kids, these are their kids over here. Now there's a whole new age of superheroes. It's very much Kingdom Come style story about the new age of heroes dealing with the old age of heroes and the conflict of storylines. Mm-hmm. And Josh Jamal is very much like Superman. His code has always been, you never kill. We are powered. They are not. You never kill anybody. The new generation is like, that might have worked back in the 20s, but now we have superpowered villains. People in our ranks are getting killed, and they're not holding to that code anymore. So they want to step outside the lines of that. And that's one of the storylines of the show. And that is an interesting storyline. But, you know, especially after coming off of Invincible, where that was 8 solid, super tight episodes. This is also 8 episodes, but it felt like 6 episodes of filler. It was, I mean, by the time the end came, I couldn't give a shit. You know, there's a huge reveal in the last 5 minutes of the episode, and I'm like, that's it? Okay, great. I have no confidence that this is going to get picked up for a second season, especially with how quickly Netflix, lets go of properties. I mean, unless Mark Millar has some friends there, I just don't see this getting picked back up. But it's a cool premise, but holy shit, the execution was just terrible.
So there's I think the problem that I'm starting to see with superhero film, like, I wouldn't call it superhero fatigue. It's kind of I think the fatigue is actually coming from the abundance of these superheroes who are super heroes and not more down to earth. I think the reason that I still can go back and watch Daredevil out of those Netflix series is that he does. I mean, yeah, he is enhanced to a certain degree, but like that level of vulnerability that he has is just that good. And how like I want more of an anti-hero than anything else, than seeing like another superhero who's got this code of never kill, always do the right thing, stuff like that. Like, I mean, it would be nice to see somebody who isn't like completely good and is like flawed in their methods a lot more, instead of seeing something like that. Like, because I mean, Invincible went completely the opposite direction of that. Like, Omni-Man is not a good representation of a good superhero. Invincible is a classic, like, high school kid becoming a superhero. Like, that's a story that we've seen before. It's the surrounding elements that are making it that made it such a good show, in combination with like already a good concept. Like, I can sing the praises for Invincible left and right.
Yeah.
I'm really excited about Shang-Chi, because, like, well, first of all, it's a character in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, or in the Marvel comic universe, that I'm not very familiar with at all. I know he has some ties to Iron Fist, but that was about it. And I don't even know if they're going to be doing that, because, like, we haven't heard anything about whether or not Danny Rand is going to be involved in that at all, or at least the Netflix version of him, which I'm kind of hoping not, because I wouldn't bet on it either. After the reception of the show, it just that one was rough, and then the second season came along and it was worse. It's I don't know, like, it's nice to see something like this, because his character is not. I mean, like, well, first of all, it's not another fucking straight white man who's jumping into another superhero role. It's gonna be nice to see some changes. Like that's what I want to see. I want to see a little bit more variety in like the superhero world.
Well, it's definitely bringing elements to the MCU that we haven't seen much of previously, and that's what's exciting.
But The Boys, Invincible, like maybe it's just the big city aesthetic. I don't know. Maybe it's just another like violently destructive thing. I think what I liked,
that's the specific thing. I think right there is the R-rated.
It's always the end of the
world.
Yeah. Well, but it's also always like the end of the world. Whereas with Daredevil, it was a little bit like the stakes were lower.
Sure.
As far as the world's involved, but it was the same way for Iron Fist. It was the same way for Luke Cage. Like we're talking about like local heroes, and I think that was why it was so involved. But like Invincible, like they were trashing the whole damn planet in that show.
I think that just in terms of these three, The Boys, Invincible, and now Jupiter's Legacy, I think just them all coming out around the same time just isn't. I get it. It's unlucky. It's just unlucky. When these comics came out, Invincible came out in 2006. The Boys came out. No, Invincible came out in 2003. The Boys came out in 2006. Jupiter's Legacy came out in 2013. They were spread out, and they were the wild cards. You had all these normal superhero comics, and then you had these other stories about corrupt, violent, R-rated adult versions of these comics, and they were so few and far between. But now they're just on top of each other. The Boys is 3 seasons in or 2 seasons in, and it's been killing it. Invincible had the animated element, but it doubled down on that, did really well. So by the time Jupiter's Legacy came out, I was just like, oh my God, really? This is another morally corrupt superhero show. It had some elements that I hadn't seen before, but it was just unlike those other shows. This was so full of filler, and I don't understand how you get an filler in an 8-episode season, but it felt like 6 episodes of filler. It was so just jam-packed with shit that didn't need to be there. What's this? Omni-Man woke up and chose violence, and that's why I was so hooked.
Yeah,
that was. And once they went pedal to the metal with Invincible, they didn't let up.
Well, and they kept the scale like super small still. Like it was really just surrounding like that one family, and then the events tied directly to them. Like the MCU has an established history of but like we've seen it.
Yeah.
Like we've seen it, and that's kind of the problem. Like that superhero fatigue is probably kicking in. Like I think we're at that point to where like it might be getting a little bit rough, and that's especially after having like a year-long break to where we didn't really have any of that because of COVID, and like the fact that it's all coming back now, it's like, well, shit, this was like we've seen this before. Like, come on.
If you're gonna dip your toe into that pool, at least make sure what you're presenting is quality television. And I swear to God, if you can't get 6 to 8 episodes right, where the majority of it is compelling, I don't see how you get a second season. So I will be surprised as hell if this gets a second season, which is sad because there were elements that were good, but I just can't see it happening.
I still think 8 one-hour episodes is ideal.
And I would say so too. Yeah,
we got the Bad Batch doing 16 episodes, and most of those are going to be a half hour. So I still think they're playing with like that right format because they want to stick to like the original format that Clone Wars was released in, where they were all like 20-minute or like classic cartoon length. But then they've like moved out to 16 episodes instead of 8. So I'm still.
If you've ran out of everything to watch and you want to see something, I guess put this show on in the background. Honestly, the first episode was meh. The next couple episodes were like, oh, this is getting good. And then by the time the finale hit, I was like, I wasted my time.
It's like, wait, what?
So, yeah, it was lackluster. So, sad days. Moving on.
I've got a shitload to catch up on, apparently. So,
yeah, you do.
We'll see how that goes.
And
tell me why this photo is significant again.
I know. I shared this with you. Totally forgot. If you don't recognize this man, this is the Winter Soldier, Sebastian Stan, and he is coming out with a new movie a new series called Tommy and Pam, or Pam and Tommy. It's a drama miniseries for Hulu. It's a biographical drama about Pamela Anderson and Tommy Lee, who dated for a while.
Yeah, and see, I didn't care about them back then. I don't know why I'm gonna care now.
I don't think most people did, other than the sex tape that went around for a while. But I am, Sebastian Stan still looks like Sebastian Stan, but Lily James, holy shit, she looks exactly like Pamela Anderson.
Yeah.
Her transformation is just batshit crazy to me. I mean, this is how she looks normally. I mean, that transformation to that is crazy. Like, if you had told me that Pamela Anderson just stepped on set to take this picture with Sebastian Stan, I would have been like, that makes sense. But no, that's Lily James. So holy shit. That I just wanted to share that's Winter Soldier's getting some work post Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So,
well, he's gonna have work because his story isn't done yet, but we'll see.
I just thought that was interesting. That dropped. What else do we got? Lightning round. We still got a couple things here. Now we're getting into some beefier topics. Quiet Place 2 is on the horizon, and I cannot freaking wait. I loved A Quiet Place 1. Now, I know you haven't seen a lot of current films, but have you at least seen A Quiet Place 1? Oh, Seth.
Yeah, sure. Well, yeah.
Seth.
I mean, I've seen The Office like 1,400 times. It's got Jim in it, so I've seen the movie.
The same.
I can guess how it goes down.
If you put The Office on one screen and Bird Box on the other, you can kind of get it. But no, it's not the same.
It all just kind of blurs together after a little bit.
Okay, well, A Quiet Place was
It's sad that I saw Bird Box.
I know. That was just a guess.
I had seen Bird Box, but I haven't seen A Quiet Place. And I didn't want to watch Bird Box, but Cece was watching it, and I just like found myself like hanging out on the couch where there's like, fuck it, I don't
A Quiet Place
right
was so much better than Bird Box. So you owe it to John Krasinski and The Office to go see A Quiet Place.
I don't owe them shit. They took it away from me. You realize how long it's been since I last saw an episode of The Office? Too fucking long, and I'm mad about it. They took away my normalcy in the middle of a fucking pandemic, and I'm pissed.
Well, I'm sure you know what A Quiet Place was. It was a huge hit in 2018. It was directed by John Krasinski. I think he also had a writing credit.
Renting it.
It's so damn good. And it was it had the element, what was that other film? Like Don't Breathe. It had the element of silence. And the ideal situation would be if the entire theater was silent during a horror movie. And when you watched it, we went and watched it in the theater, and that place, it was so quiet. You could hear somebody messing with their popcorn bag. Like, it was quiet. And it was intense. It was terrible, and they stopped, thank God. But the movie itself was amazing, and it was so good that it immediately got signed for a sequel that John Krasinski would do. And, he directs it. Emily Blunt stars in it.
I'm familiar with the background on the film and like a lot of information. I watched some reviews, but I never got around. Like it was a horror film, so I never pictured myself watching it, and so I watched content about it. Like I watched Chris Stuckman talk about it. I watched Jeremy Johns.
But you've seen a lot of sci-fi alien films, though, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
more
like
sci-fi thriller
realm,
than horror. Yeah, it's got aliens in it. So
I'll have to watch it before A Quiet Place 2 comes out and kind of like get myself caught up. If I want to watch it on Hulu, I can pay $70 a month for live version of Hulu. Fuck that shit. That's not happening. You guys are dreaming.
Well, so this is what came down this week about it, or over the weekend rather. The Quiet Place 2 is coming out. I believe it comes out at the end of the month.
Is this an Omaze screenshot that they're doing?
Yeah, that's what that is. I just chose that picture.
Always Omaze. Has
it's always
ever won
Omaze.
that shit?
I don't know. I think it's a scam because I never hear about people winning it, but you see it with everything.
You'd think that
They
they'd
probably
want to
like
fucking like big that shit up. It's like, yeah,
they
check out
probably
this
like
last
guilt
winner.
trip you into it. Like at the end, they're like, "Hey, we're really raising this. We're not gonna fly you out to hang out with Robert Downey Jr. on the set. We just wanted your money because it's a nonprofit." And they probably just like shame you into saying, "Okay, fine, I won't hold you to it." Getting to the story, these two knocked it out of the park with 2018's A Quiet Place. Of course, they signed on for part 2. Obviously, they came back to the negotiation table with
Is it a sign-on thing if they made it?
Well, I don't know, but they came back with their contracts, and both of their contracts were based on profit that the film made in the theater. So they chose for that route instead of getting paid up front. And this week, it was announced that instead of A Quiet Place 2 staying in theaters for 90 days before becoming available for digital viewing, Paramount was going to cut that in half and have it opening for 45 days before moving the movie to their streaming service, Paramount Plus. And this isn't a new story. We've heard this with a lot of other things over the past year. HBO Max being a big person of doing their day and date stuff. This isn't a day and date simultaneous release. But if your contract is based on the money it makes in the theater, obviously you're not going to be very happy if that time gets cut in half. No. So it was reported that John Krasinski and Emily Blunt went to Paramount and said, "Hey guys, what's up with this? Is there a way to work this out?" And Paramount it was initially reported that Paramount said no. And everybody was like, "Well, that's not right." But apparently there was
movie, bitch. What you doing?
Yeah. I mean, I would be pissed, and I would say, well, that's
livid.
And if that's a part of a contract, then I feel like that's probably something that you could fight, But would you want to fight it? If you don't have to be an enemy of the studio and cut off your chances of working together in the future, you probably shouldn't. And apparently things got worked out because today there was an update to this story saying that John Krasinski has signed a first look deal with Paramount Pictures, which is usually a good thing. That means that that they'll have an ongoing relationship. This doesn't seem to mention anything about the contract for this film, so maybe that got handled behind closed doors, but I can't imagine he would sign a first look deal with them if he was still having money issues with them. So hopefully they got that worked out.
Well, this is kind of more of what we've been talking about on the show for a while now, is that we're all in new territory as far as how to handle things with like this is another one of the weirdnesses, weird thing. I don't fucking know what I'm so tired. This is another one of those aspects of like the current media marketplace that COVID kind of like challenged, and it was like, hey, you got to come up with a better way to do this, or you're all going to go under this year. Yeah. And now we're trying to navigate new territory. It's like, okay, I'm personally under the belief that they should adjust to kind of doing some new things. But I want theaters to stay open. Like I still want that to be an experience. Personally, I'm actually on board with like weekend only. To a certain extent, because I mean that will at least for like the bigger theaters. And
I mean, it doesn't help the staff, but
it doesn't help the staff, no. But I don't know. Like I can see that being kind of cool to where like some of the bigger theaters are open for that, but the smaller theaters stay open throughout the week, and then they get some like interesting changes throughout all that. Like it creates like a lot of cool opportunities. But as far as like the contractual side, and as far as like how to divvy up profits, how to pay everybody, we're in new territory. And so we're going to see some like interesting things that are going to go on. And unfortunately, so far we've been seeing an awful lot of fuckery on how studios want to deal with all that stuff. So, I mean, yeah, I'm with you. It's like, obviously if he signed a no look deal with somebody, then he must have gotten some pretty damn good, strong assurances that he wasn't going to get dicked
Yeah.
over again. But
And maybe they should have done that up front. I mean,
maybe, yeah. But
I'm sure
we're in
these two are not oblivious to the issues that studios are going through, but if you just make a decision without talking to the people that made that damn movie, they're not just starring in it, they made the movie. You know,
Yeah.
John Krasinski, just like Jordan Peele, went from comedian to fucking rock star horror director with A Quiet Place. That was a sleeper hit that just blew up. So he comes back for a sequel, makes a sequel for you, and you're like, yeah, we'll pay you on the profit, which everyone is expecting to be bigger. And then they cut that window in half. I would imagine that they would have issue with that. So, but it looks like they've come to some type of agreement, because otherwise I can't imagine him signing a deal with Paramount.
There's still a little part of me that, like, so part of me is like, hey, that sucks. I want to get my paycheck. But the other half of me is like, boo hoo. You know, like how much money do you fucking need?
Well,
because I know you're getting office residuals. Fucking your wife hadn't stopped working. Like, she's still getting paid for shit. She was getting. Yeah, I mean, your wife's fucking Mary Poppins, for fuck's sake.
Hey, you fight the rich people have bills too, and depending on how they live their lives, those bills rack up.
Rich people have bills too, but they've got a little bit more flexibility on how to pay those damn things. I was like, dude, if I could star in like one thing throughout the year, I understand that's basically a job that they have for a year or more at a time. But I mean, if I'm getting a few $1 million off of that, I'm gonna find a few less reasons to piss and moan about the details.
Well, apparently they did something right, because and maybe his they came to him as a couple, and maybe they've secured themselves a better deal going forward. So if that's what they need to do, we'll see. Next story is Golden Globes. Golden Globes, which I didn't realize this was a story until earlier this week. The Golden Globes happened months ago.
So we're just going to ignore the fact that you just ate on stream?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Are you fucking kidding me right now?
I'm sorry. I know you hate that, but these are really good Turkish delights. Shut up.
Jesus Christ. You'd sell out Mr. Tumnus in a fucking second, wouldn't you?
Yep. I would, for some damn Turkish delights, and I'm pretty sure the Chronicles of Narnia versions are better. So anyway.
They must have been.
So Golden Globes. Golden Globes next year are in heavy jeopardy. And if you go back, it's funny because I was just watching.
Is this another boo-hoo story for me?
If you go back and you watch some of the opening monologues, especially what's his name? Who's the original Office guy? The British actor.
Dude, if Ricky Gervais is not hosting a Golden Globes, I care that much less about it.
If you go back,
the best part of those shows.
If I need to pick me up, I go back and I watch his monologues, because
his monologues in there are so goddamn funny.
He roasted, and the only people he roasted more than the celebrities in the audience was the people that put on the Golden Globes, the Hollywood Foreign Press Association.
Every time
they got some of the to go after him.
He got some of the strongest jokes for them, and they still keep bringing him back.
Yeah, well,
so they're either good sports or he's making them just that much fucking money.
And then he even stopped making jokes and just straight out called him racist. I mean, he would just go after him. He was not afraid to do that. So anyway, the HFPA came under fire recently when I guess there was an investigation and a lawsuit and everything. They've been called out before for bribing people for their awards. We hear things like Oscar campaigns. One of the campaigns for this year's Golden Globes for Emily in Paris was straight out flying all the members of the HFPA out to Paris and putting them in a nice ass hotel and treating them, head to toe. They were called out for that, but recently they've come under fire because it was discovered, or at least released to the public, that there were they were all white, or at least there were no black members on the HFPA at all. None of them in the voting body. And this was kind of the spark that blew up. And ever since then, people have been coming out left and right. Scarlett Johansson came out and said, I haven't done any big things with the HFPA for a while now, despite her being nominated, because she said she just had to stop because some of the questions that she was getting when she was working their circuits were straight up sexist.
Dude, there's a crapload of stuff just with her in the Marvel circuit where like those are the only questions that she gets.
But
and she's apparently up there with like the rest of the Marvel cast, and it gets worse. And then around Marriage Story, she got some of the same shit.
Yeah, and now those are sexist. When you're only asking the female on the stage about fashion stuff and how'd you get into the suit and stuff like that, those are sexist. She said that it got so bad that they were borderline sexual assault. Like she felt really wronged by them and had to stop. Like she thought it was sexual harassment, not assault. Sexual harassment was the word I was trying to find. So she refuses to do anything with them going forward.
When you got the HFPA, an organization populated by old, creepy white men, I'm not shocked at all.
Who was kind of not really founded, but definitely pushed by Harvey Weinstein. Yeah. He really gave them the momentum because it was a part of his strategy to get people ready for the Oscars, was really to build up the Golden Globes. So when he's part of your origin story, it's not a big surprise. So a lot of people have been standing up to the Golden Globes, including Tom Cruise, who returned all 3 of his trophies this week, mailed them back to the Golden Globes. And then went even further today when NBC said, guess what? 2022, we're not airing the Golden Globes. It's not going to be on our network. So they are cracking down. They are cracking down. And apparently the HFPA did come out with a statement a couple days ago saying, yeah, we're going to work on hiring some more black people. And people were like, that's not enough. So who knows what will happen with the Golden Globes going forward? I don't know, but that's not looking good, man. I believe Netflix even chimed in saying they will not be sending. Oh, Netflix and Amazon have decided they will no longer work with the HFPA. So
I remember seeing Amazon in there, and I didn't look into it. I thought it had something to do with Bezos or some shit. Honestly, like we're dealing, like this is kind of like when we were talking about the Oscars. I have a similar outlook on it, and I don't give a shit. I don't care if the Golden Globes go under. I mean, I'm sure that there are a lot of actors, actresses, and all that who don't give a shit like about it. Like they're in it for the craft, not necessarily the prestige that comes with it. I'm in the same boat. I mean, I'm an aspiring filmmaker, and I have absolutely no delusions of winning any of those awards or anything like that. I'm fully content on making whatever I want to make and then putting it up on fucking YouTube for free. Like the people who, I mean, they're really just press events anyway. I mean, that's really what it is. It's just advertising. It's a nice little tagline to be able to put into your movie, saying like starring Golden Globe winner Scarlett Johansson or some shit like that. Like, I mean, that's the main part of the prestige. So it's another selling point that's there. But I don't think that we're in an age now to where that's really necessary anymore. Like we're in a situation now to where, like, I mean, especially for established actors, people who've been around for like nobody's gonna see like you put 2 movies up. You put an A poster and a B poster up, and one of them says starring Tom Cruise, the other one says starring Golden Globe winner Tom Cruise. It says Tom Cruise. Nobody gives a fuck. For some other actors, for some people who haven't gotten their name out there, getting a Golden Globe or an Oscar or a Tony or a Grammy or anything like that, like these award shows, it might be a way to make their bones. That might be the way that they're looking at it. But I just don't think that it's that necessary anymore. And again, like when you're pointing out all the inequalities that are that these award shows are like based in. I mean, these are old organizations. These are old organizations that were managing these award shows, and that were putting all these things together. It's like when you want to force that change in an organization that's populated that many rich people, I think that's really what the problem comes down to. It's not necessarily a race thing. It's a rich thing. I think.
Well, I mean, depending on who you are, the president of the HFPA said some pretty racist stuff in some emails.
No, I get that, but it's not because he's white. It's because he's rich and white.
Yeah.
I think that plays I think the amount of money that a racist has ends up playing a pretty big part in how racist they think that they can get away with being. And when when you put them into an organization with a bunch of old, rich, white racists, it's probably not going to improve, which is also why it's like, as soon as you said it, I was like, okay, I guarantee that they're going to be like, let's hire more black people just so they can be that old, white, rich, white racist who can be like, yeah, I got a black friend. I'm not racist. Like, it's not going to work. Like, that's not how it goes. And honestly, the best course of action at this point is what people are doing. It's like, you know what? Just boycott it. We don't need this shit anymore. Like, let it. The only constant in this world is change. Let the Golden Globes burn down and let something else come in. Like, there are a crap load of other award shows. Let's let their prestige like bump up a little bit by splitting it off to the rest of them. The Oscars, probably not far behind, especially with everything that's been going on with them. Like, these big awards shows, it's like, it's not that big of a deal anymore.
It's less of a big deal for us. I imagine there's still some people in Hollywood that find it a big deal.
I mean, there are, but they're going to
especially like,
they're obviously not enough to hold this shit up any longer.
No, I mean, but if you look at somebody like Tom Cruise, the reason why people were like, okay, this is kind of a big deal that Tom Cruise returned his 3 statues back. Those are his biggest awards. Outside of his church, those are the biggest awards he's ever been given. He's never won an Oscar. So Golden Globes,
church.
Well, the Golden Globes are the biggest things he's been awarded for his acting career. So for him to send his biggest 3, it'd be one thing if he sent like a Razzie back or an MTV Movie Award back, but he sent the top shelf awards in terms of what he's been given. That's a big thing. And apparently this is something that's been building up over the last year. I was just reading this article from, this is a place called Laney Gossip. I've never heard of that before, but, it says, to recap, the LA Times ran an expose on the HFPA earlier this year that detailed the lack of diversity. And that's where we got that they didn't have one black member in their whole voting body. So then they also talked about the things, like I said, Emily in Paris scored multiple nominations after members of the HFPA received a set visit that included a stay at a $1,400 a night hotel in Paris. That's expensive as hell. Next, the Golden Globes broadcast itself was pretty bad. Yeah, a lot of people didn't care for that. Then Dr. Harper, hired by the HFPA to be a diversity and inclusion advisor, and crisis management legend Judy Smith, never heard of her, both abandoned the HFPA in disgust after the president, Phil Burke, his emails got out in which he called the Black Lives Matter movement a racist hate movement. And then it just kept on going from there. So I think the biggest thing about NBC, they've got a contract with the Golden Globes. And they said in their statement today, we are hopeful we will be in a position to air the show in January 2023. So they're not saying they're done completely, but they're saying, you ain't doing enough. We're not airing you next year. Fix your shit. Maybe we'll bring you back in 2023.
Well, and here's the thing. There's absolutely no downside for NBC doing that. Absolutely.
It's not like downside. It was a ratings push for them or anything like that.
I really can't praise NBC for doing this stuff because they're playing like the popular route. They're going because people, first of all, you're going to get some Karens who are going to be like, I'll just air the show. Who gives a shit? Freedom of speech, all that typical racist bullshit, or racist sympathizing that Karens seem to want to do. But at the same time, like they're going to get so much more praise because the industry is far more liberal. and are adjusting with the times to have more of an accepting audience. So I mean, this is really a drop in the bucket for NBC. So I'm not gonna pat them on the back for like like you can't really pat anybody on the back for not being racist, because that's kind of how it should be. You can't pat anybody on the back for not supporting sexual monsters, because you shouldn't be doing that. Like it's tough to talk about these stories and be like, it's like, oh yeah, good for you guys. It's like, no, this is how it should be. But yeah, I'm also in the same. I'm in the boat where, you know what, it makes it even harder to pat them on the back, even if they earned it, with NBC being like, oh yeah, we might do it again. We might do it next year though. Like,
I mean,
it's like, really? It's like, can we just let it die? Can we just let the fucking Golden Globes burn? If Ricky Gervais won't do it again, who gives a fuck? Like, it's gonna
take more than that. But to be fair, with all of the Oscars so white campaigns and everything that went on for a while, and the Me Too movement and everything, we've never seen a TV station say, yeah, we're not going to play your event next year. We've never seen that happen. No. Granted, yeah, it's with that asterisk of, we'll probably have you back in 2023, but you know, it's probably not hurting them that much, but it is a big event that they put on. It's their version of the Oscars. And for them to say, we're not going to do that next year, flat out say it, we're probably not going to do it. Not, well, if you don't fix your shit, we're going to take you off the air. They literally said it. And we're further out than 6 months from it. So I thought that was pretty interesting. I think we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens.
That's kind of all we can do, really.
But I think I thought it was intriguing nonetheless. So
nobody from the Hollywood, nobody from NBC or the Hollywood Foreign Press is watching this. So I enjoy the freedom of getting to shit on them as much as I want to.
Anyway, we've been talking for an hour, and I know we're not going to talk about the Bad Batch for an hour, but the first 2 episodes came out.
I don't have much to say at this point. Yeah, because like you said, we've only gotten the first 2 episodes. We've gotten 2 out of 16 episodes for the show. And it really picks up right where Clone Wars season 7 left off.
With Order 66 and everything, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they dive you into it right away, but that was apparent in the trailers. Like, so...
I did like it, though. It was a solid 70-minute premiere for the first episode.
Yeah, it's completely enjoyable. The second episode, it reminded me of watching Clone Wars again. It felt like the exact same level of like good old-fashioned Star Wars storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
They're sticking to something like we're seeing this again, where we've got like a grizzled soldier type who's looking after like a young child who's got like a mysterious way about them, or like there's something about like it's just like we saw in The Mandalorian, where we've got Mando who's picking up Grogu, and it's like, okay, well, we got to do this. He tries to give him away. I feel like we're seeing like the same storyline being told under just a different way, but we saw the same thing with Rebels. It was interesting because we saw like they changed things around a little bit surrounding specifically Kanan and Rebels. I need to go back and finish that series, but I only have 1 season left to go. But yeah, there's some different stuff already, and it was like, hey, okay, that's not how I quite remembered Kanan explaining it.
They definitely retconned it. Let me throw this on here.
It's tough to talk about it without. Okay, all right, yeah, we're talking spoilers.
They definitely
around Kanan's like escape and his sort of his origin story.
They even did a comic on Kanan back in 2015, and it was a different origin. I'm reading up on that right now. What does it say? It said in the comics, Caleb and Depa, which was his Jedi. Yeah, were basking in the glow of a win over separatists. When the clones turned on them, they were forced to fight together, killing the former allies, only for Depa to admit that they were outnumbered. It didn't matter how many she beheaded or stabbed. They weren't going to make it out. So it was a little different, but they just, I mean, it's not extremely different.
No, just the way he explains it in Rebels is also different.
A little different.
So it's like,
I thought it was interesting though that what's his name still voiced it.
Freddie Prinze Jr.
Yeah, because
it was pretty recognizable like right away too.
They didn't edit his voice at all. Like he's in kid form. Yeah, he sounds like he's 47.
He sounded a little bit younger, but not that much younger.
Not teenage version.
No,
or whatever you're supposed to be.
It was a little weird. It's like,
okay.
Well,
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Scott. We won't go deep into this. There's nothing really to
we don't
in the
have
first 2 episodes.
Well, we don't really dive into Rebels at all with the show because this is before Rebels and all that stuff. So,
yeah.
But you see a little bit of an origin specifically around Kanan.
I mean, it's created by the same person.
Yeah.
What's his face? Dave Filoni. If Dave Filoni knows what he's doing, he likes to link his shit together.
Filoni can retcon whatever the fuck he wants, and I'm going to trust him at this point.
Right.
You know.
But he also knows how to write a story that for the purists out there, or for the people that have watched everything he's done, they see the nods to them. But he also writes it for people who've never seen anything before, and you can watch it fresh. So Bad Batch definitely picks up where Clone Wars ended, and it has nods to Rebels. But if you had never seen those 2 properties, I feel like you could watch this. If you've never seen anything Star Wars related, it might be hard to jump in on this. But if you don't, if you've just seen like the movies and then you came in and watched this, I think you'd be fine. They tell you who the characters are again. They give you little backstories on all of them, or at least the little kid is naming them and saying what they do best. And then you're right into the story. So I liked it. There wasn't anything monumental, at least that I remember, other than maybe one of them dealing with Order 66 a little bit different than the rest of them. But that was the only real big thing that I can remember in the first 2 episodes.
Well, I mean, you can take the spoiler banner down because I don't feel the need to talk spoilers just yet. Like I said, we're only 2 episodes in.
Okay.
And so there's not a lot that I want to deep dive onto, because, I mean, just given the amount of time that the show is going to be running, we're getting an episode a week for the next 14 weeks.
And I already felt like season or like episode 2 was not really filler, but it was side mission.
Again, we've got 16 episodes. Like, we're talking about a full season here, with newer characters. Yeah. We didn't really get to know them too terrible well in the final season of Clone Wars. So there's going to be some new territory that we've got to touch on. And we also got to like build humanity with clones again, which they did so well in the Clone Wars, but again, they got to cater a little bit to an audience who is not familiar with that show at all. They've got to hook them in to get them to go back and watch that. And so we're going to see some like repeats, and we already have. Out of these first 2 episodes, we've already seen we've seen a shitload of callbacks to the Clone Wars series.
Yeah.
We've seen a lot of references to stuff that we had already seen. And we're going to see, I mean, with Clone Wars, I kind of got used to the side mission stuff, so I expect that here. I'm excited to dive it. Yeah. We're going to see more of those side missions, because rather than building on to, like, this is a spinoff. It's a spinoff show. We get to dive into like completely new territory. And so they have to almost establish a little bit newer of a universe, because again, like this, I think is where we're going to see like a much deeper dive into like the establishing of the Empire.
Yes.
And we're going to see it through these guys. And the first 2 episodes, we've already seen like the changing of the guard, like how the regime is shifting.
Yes.
And yeah, so we're going to need to see some side quests in order to like be connected to it as much as we would want to by the time a finale shows up. And in Filoni, we trust, man. I have, like he said, he knows how to write a good story, and I'm pretty well on board. I will say that there is a character in the first episode who I was excited to see again, but the voice actor kind of dropped the ball on me a little bit. and I'll tell you about that after we drop off of live. But
Okay.
that's like the one downside that I had
Well,
for
you.
this. Other than that, it felt like I was picking up right after season 7 of Clone Wars, and I'm
Mhm.
loving it. I was having a really good time with it. I rewatched it today just to keep fresh. And
They're just. It's just. We've said it in the past, and Dave Filoni we trust, and Dave Filoni has done monumental work for the Star Wars universe with these animated series. He has made the prequels good. He's filled in the gaps. He's made them make sense. Every piece of Star Wars media he makes to make the bigger story better. Like
yep,
it never subtracts from the bigger story. It's always something that supplements the bigger story. And this isn't a spoiler, but I'm going to say it anyway. It's something that happens in this episode that was very small and very minute, but it was so big because it's something we talk about all the time. Why do the stormtroopers suck so much in the old movies and in the sequel trilogy when they were such badasses in the prequels and in the Clone Wars? And then we get this small scene with Tarkin talking to the race of aliens, the
the Kaminoans.
Camino, whatever they are, saying, "Hey, we're good. We don't need any more clones." And the alien is like, first of all, we had a contract, sir. And second of all, you're about to build a brand new empire and you're telling us you don't need the best warriors in the galaxy? And Tarkin's like, yeah, we'll just recruit people. And the
Yeah.
alien's like, you're never going to recruit soldiers that are as good as our soldiers. And that might not seem like a monumental discussion, but it's
It fills
something
in
that
a lot of blanks,
addresses
though.
it addresses what everybody complains about is why are these badass looking troopers so bad? And it's because they didn't get the training that all these other ones did. They didn't live a life of training for this, of training, or you get disposed of. You become a fucking janitor, man, or you get killed, one or the other. You know, they
Dude,
didn't live
it
that,
addresses stuff in Force Awakens because there's a
right?
talk between Kylo Ren and that general whose name I can't. He's fucking forgettable as shit.
Mm-hmm.
About talking about how Supreme Leader Snoke, maybe he should go with a clone army, and there's
Mm-hmm.
still, and like that guy who's like Imperial blood is still fighting for like the thought of just like keeping real people and like doing full on recruits. And it's like, no, that's like Filoni addressed that too. It's just like, I was like, no, I'm gonna make it clear that clones would have been more effective and the Empire would have absolutely dominated if they had kept them.
Yeah.
But
Well, just like
Tarkin came
GSP
in and
said,
Tarkin came
uh,
in and made a bureaucrat move and fucked it all up.
fucked it all up, and that one choice would destroy the empire going forward. But just like GSP or Petrock or whatever his name is in Falcon and the Winter Soldier said, the robes don't make the monk. The stormtrooper outfits don't make the stormtroopers. They look badass, but if you took the Spartan garb and put it on 300, lame dudes from some other country and not Spartans, they're not going to act like Spartans. They're not going to be as
No.
badass as Spartans. So you take a badass stormtrooper costume and you put it on someone who hasn't gone through the years of crazy training that these clones went through. They're not going to perform like those clones. And it's so simple to say, but we've never had anything in the Star Wars universe address that on screen before. And it finally came. So once again, Dave Filoni is cleaning up the mess that these other films did. Just
And he
give
did
him
it
a
in
damn
one
film.
scene. He did it
Yeah,
in one scene.
just give him his trilogy. Like, J.J. Abrams, I love you, man. Fuck off. Dude that made Knives Out, I love you, dude. Fuck off. Give Dave Filoni a trilogy, and he'll fucking make it as best as it can be. Like, he knows how to do this shit.
Honestly, at this point, I would let him like take Daisy Ridley, like fucking. I almost
Could
just
you
called him Kylo
imagine
Ren,
those
Adam
characters
Driver,
under
and then,
his penmanship? Oh my
yeah,
god.
just let him just be like, you know what, we're just gonna give you a shot at. You're gonna remake these movies the way that you want to, and just see what he did with it. And it's like, Jesus Christ.
I feel so
Man,
bad for them.
It reminds
So
me. It
bad.
reminds me of that YouTube video series of God. I can't remember the YouTuber's name. I've probably got him saved somewhere. And I'm pretty sure I sent these to you at one point. But
You did.
he illustrates how like what would have made the prequels better, and he like really adjusts stuff. But this is prior to like Clone Wars coming in, like fixing stuff up. I would love to see something like that from Dave Filoni, which he will absolutely never do, because Disney would jump down his throat and crawl out of his dick if he ever like revealed how he would fix an established property.
I believe you're talking about
Just that
belated
being that
media.
direct.
Belated
Yeah.
media. What if Star Wars Episode 2 were good? What if Star
the
Wars
prequels
Episode
were
3 was good? Yeah, he did this whole series. Yeah. I mean, Dave Filoni knows
you want
his shit.
passionate people behind these projects, and Dave Filoni is one of them.
And you can see how he can do with just a few, the most simplest and boring of scenes. He makes up for decades worth of conversations that people have had about this. And what does Scott say?
If Dave Filoni remakes the latest trilogy, I will fly to Florida, and
he did say Florida. He said Omaha.
I'll buy recliner. No, so
you're
so
saying that.
So he and I, when he was still living in the area, we actually watched The Last Jedi together. And we got those like super dream loungers at the theater there. Like, it was super nice.
So you could go to sleep from all the boredom.
Yeah, I'll fucking come to you, and I'll buy recliners, and we'll build our own goddamn theater if he's remaking that shit. Like, I'll buy and put together a theater to watch that shit.
If you were one of the people that were devastated when Disney cut off and just wiped the slate of all the EU stuff. If you were one of the people that were like, we had decades worth of these novels. I'm looking at my shelf right now. I got multiple decades worth of novels that were the official sequels for the longest time. And then Disney came in and said, we don't want those. I get it from a business standpoint. I get why they did that. But if you're somebody who has felt that sting for so long, you know that the only saving grace is Dave Filoni, that he has made the most of the effort to fill that divide. And there was another Thrawn book that Timothy Zahn just came out with. It makes me want to go read those, because at least it's Timothy Zahn writing the new Thrawn trilogy when he was the one that wrote the original Thrawn trilogy. So I'm willing to give that a shot. But honestly, Dave Filoni has been the only one scoring the wins ever since Disney took over. And he's the ground he's covered in fucking an animated show that has never been touched on the big screen in so long. It's crazy why he hasn't gotten the chance yet.
There's a behind the scenes like round table discussion that he's involved with the Mandalorian and the other directors of the episodes that he worked with on that show. He's talking like he has this long conversation about how he's talking about Duel of the Fates from Phantom Menace, and like how just the elements in that story. Like, I'm not going to spoil it at all because I need you to go and look it up. I need you to go and watch it if you haven't already. But Dave Filoni goes on this like long talk about how important why Episode 1 and why that fight was actually so much more important than it really seemed to play out. And he goes into why it's called Duel of the Fates. He talks about like his influence from George, from working with George as closely as you did. And what Star Wars is all about. And like, you get it that this guy knows his shit and he understands, and he's coming to the Star Wars universe from a place of absolute passion. And that's the person that you want headlining this stuff. I mean, Kevin Feige on the Marvel side of things, I don't know that he's got that level of like passion for the Marvel Cinematic Universe to where he could do that stuff himself, but he knows enough about it to where he entrusts it to the right people. And so we've gotten the same result there to where he knows that like he's been the one, like he would be the person hiring Filoni in that situation.
Right.
And he has hired a bunch of Dave Filoni's for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. He's put the right people in charge
Yeah.
of the right properties to make it so passionate people are working on this stuff. And we need more of that in the Star Wars universe right now, because Filoni is not going to be able to carry the franchise by himself the entire time. He's like, there's going to be demand for just too much content coming out of him. Like, and I don't want him in a Kevin Feige situation or replacing like the top of Lucasfilm right now, because he's happy where he is and he's creating and he's giving us like the best content as it goes.
Yeah.
But yeah, this series is already like in just a few places, in like the smallest things, the smallest lines, the smallest moments, he's already bringing it back to what he explains in that behind the scenes thing is what Star Wars is all about. And you're going to see it. And it's an important thing, because when you realize that that's what the theme is throughout the entire show, throughout the entire films, throughout the entirety of all the series that he's putting together, like, he has a theme for the content that he makes for Star Wars. He sticks to it, and it's a great one, and it's why his stuff works. And it's I mean, it's a lot of praise to sing for one person, but I mean, that's
damn,
really,
he's earned it.
Oh, he's fucking earned it, man.
I get it. If you're a Kathleen Kennedy and you're like, I need big names to be directing these films, I get it. Maybe you don't. Maybe you're not ready to invest in a Dave Filoni directed live action film. But why not at least a Dave Filoni written film? Like, not every director has to be a director and writer. You can hire a really good director to direct someone else's work. Like,
Teamwork makes the dream work.
Right? Like, Taika Waititi is coming in and he's already getting people ready. He says, I'm going to rock the Star Wars world. And I believe it. He's a very creative person.
I'm ready for it too. But
that doesn't mean he's the helm of the main stories. He could write a very good offshoot story or very good side story. And that could work for his film. But if I had to choose between an official 8, 9, or 7, 8, and 9 by Taika Waititi, who is a very amazing visionary and very creative person, versus a 6, 8, or a 7, 8, and 9 written by Dave Filoni, directed by Taika Waititi, or directed by J.J. Abrams or whatever, hands down, Dave Filoni every time. So just, empower your people, man. But, and hire those creative directors. But if this guy is consistently writing your best material, give him a shot at writing the big material, and don't wait till it's too late. And maybe we've already crossed that point, but at least we get this. Thank God we get this, because I could watch Dave Filoni animated Star Wars stuff all day, every day.
So I had to go back and look at which episode Taika did for The Mandalorian. He directed the first season finale for The Mandalorian.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. The wisecracking robot there and everything. It makes sense.
Pretty sure he voiced IG-11 too. So I mean that.
That makes sense, even more sense. Yeah.
I thought he did. IG-11.
You probably did.
The Mandalorian. I mean, it's a great way to put yourself into a cameo. Is in a role where nobody can see. Yep, voiced by Taika Waititi. So,
okay.
Yeah, nobody can see his face, and he did that. He did the same thing for Korg. Great. I mean, he did decide to be Hitler in Jojo Rabbit, but
God, that was a good movie. I don't know if you've ever seen that film, but it was so darn good. It
was great.
It was amazing.
I gotta watch it again, man. It's been
how you can make a movie that will rock people to the core about a young Nazi youth whose best friend is an imaginary Hitler. I don't know, but he did it. He did it. And I remember hearing about that coming out before I'd ever seen it. And I was just like, this dude just tanked his career. And I had no faith, and I'm ashamed I had no faith.
Oscar win for it.
It was so damn good. So damn good. So I have faith that his Star Wars film is going to be great. But, you can't you know, you got to have the right support people in there. And Dave Filoni is consistently giving you wins. And I'm glad that they're having him be a larger part of the streaming side of things, the Disney Plus side of things. And yeah, like you, I don't want him to get burned out either. But if they ever talk about going back to a numbered trilogy, which is always like, these are the significant films, the numbered films, he needs to be at that table somehow, because he's going to be the one that ensures the legacy and the quality, and like he's done so far.
And it's clear that he can work with somebody where he just writes and lets other people direct. Like
he's not a diva.
Established history of it now. Yeah, he just wants to make sure that a good Star Wars story gets told, and he's proven it. Yeah. Honestly, I hope. Like I can't wait to see what they do outside of the Skywalker timeline.
I know that's your favorite thing to talk about.
Well, that's what I mean. That's the thing that I want to see is like, because like, don't get me wrong, we get great content inside that timeline, but we've got this vast unexplored. Like, I mean, it just got announced not long. It hasn't been officially announced, but enough of it has been leaked to where we kind of know what's going to be going on. Is that the Knights of the Old Republic games are going to be remade? It's not being remade by BioWare, but it's being remade, and this is after Lucasfilm or Lucas Arts reacquired their rights to, like EA lost like the exclusive rights to Star Wars games, and so now we've got independent studios who can actually jump back into that stuff with Lucas Arts, and that's exciting. And it feels like it was right that this was the time where that should have gone on. And that it like, because I feel like the Knights of the Old Republic would not have been able to get remade the right way with EA. And the only reason that I bring this up is because EA was like the JJ Abrams era of the video game side of things. Like they weren't coming out with the greatest stuff. Like they had some wins. Don't get me wrong. I still liked Force Awakens. I still think Force Awakens was like great. Like it gave me hope for what they were going to be doing. I enjoyed Force Awakens.
Well, EA, the longer they went, the worse it got. But they are responsible for some of the classics, you know.
Yeah.
They
were still behind Fallen Order to a degree.
They were behind Fallen Order at the end, for sure. They were behind Shadows of the Empire in the beginning. They Battlefront used to be something that people got really excited about. They were going to do 1313.
The original Battlefront 2 was the last good Battlefront game.
Yeah, I think most people would agree
with you
on that.
Xbox era.
Yes, the 2005 version, yeah.
Yeah, without Galactic Conquest, Star Wars Battlefront sucked.
And
I played both. I played both of the recent makes extensively.
Who made the Unleashed games?
EA. And
were they EA?
I'm pretty sure.
Were they EA?
Unleashed.
I don't know if they were.
Developers,
I'm looking it up.
LucasArts, which was owned by was it owned by EA at the time? THQ.
Okay, so it was separate. And those games were definitely fun. At least in my mind, they were.
Second one dropped the ball hard.
Yeah, it did. It did, especially with all those cinematic trailers for it, and then people are like, "Wait, what?" they set you up for failure with those.
The first one was excellent.
So good.
The original Force Unleashed was excellent addition to
and the books were good too. I got both novels up there. The books were great.
Apparently, George Lucas accepted it as canon. Because he thought it was just that good. I don't know that there's been any content lately that has really retconned any of the happenings in there either.
I mean, other than the voice actor, moving on to voice Darth Maul, but that's it.
Well, dude, he could still voice Starkiller, and I'd be happy with it. The game was molded after his likeness. Like he could play that character still.
Yeah.
And I'd be 100% fine with it. Their voices are different enough. Like if you listen to Starkiller talking to Juno,
they do sound different.
Yeah, or to Juno or Proxy, and then you listen to Darth Maul, it's not recognizable. You can hear a little bit of resemblance in there, but Darth Maul and Starkiller could have a conversation back and forth with each other, and it would feel like different people. So I can totally see it happening.
Well, we've been talking enough tonight. I don't know about you, but I'm exhausted. I got a busy day tomorrow.
I get to go back to work here in an hour. So
I'm sorry. I have to go to bed.
Rest, and then I got to go back in tomorrow morning. So.
I have to go to bed. Not in an hour, but at least in 2 hours, because I have work tomorrow, and then I'm going to meet. I probably won't go. I'm tempted to go. I'm tempted to go to my local Hy-Vee on Cass Street to meet 50 Cent. I mean, why is that man coming to the?
I worry.
He probably
I worry
has never
about
stepped foot in Nebraska ever.
I worry about what his career has come to. If that's where things are going.
50 Cent is going to be in Omaha, Nebraska tomorrow at a Hy-Vee of all places. He's for a bottle signing of Branson. Branson, I think it's like a champagne and something else.
I thought it was like there's a cognac or something like that.
Here, there's 3 cognac bottles and 1 champagne bottle called Branson. Never heard of it before, but he apparently owns it, and he's coming here to do a bottle signing. And they say he's going to do a 2-hour bottle signing. I call bullshit on that. There ain't no way in hell he's going to sit in a Hy-Vee for 2 hours and sign bottles. But we'll see. I'm tempted to go just because I live down the street from there, not too far. And, I could just take the afternoon off and go see 50 Cent. So, yeah.
That'd be weird.
It's so weird. It's so weird indeed. But whatever, it's happening tomorrow. So you want to sign off for the night?
Yeah, let's do it. What else did I want to say? I don't know. We're gonna keep up with Bad Batch.
Absolutely.
Bad Batch and Loki are going to overlap. It's gonna be a little weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's gonna merge. It's gonna be a little strange. But we're gonna keep up with Bad Batch. I'm gonna try and watch A Quiet Place now. I've got a lot of content that I gotta watch. Apparently, there's a lot of shit that I haven't seen, and it just keeps getting farther away from me. But
put that closer to the top. It's worthy of the top.
Yeah, fair enough. Hit the like button if you like this video, Nerf Herders. We'll catch you next time. Hit the dislike button if you didn't. I'm all over the place, man. My sign off is fucked right now.
I know you've had this for a while.
Be honest with us. Hit the like button, hit the dislike button. Let us know what you think. Hit us up in the comments down below. Be honest, we can take it. Hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any other future content. And until next time, we'll see you later.
See ya.